Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Ross Live 2020 and I'm Stuart Russell. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's Tech Talk. It is Tuesday, June the 23rd, and today's session promises to be a really cool one. We're going to meet some of the team from Rocket Surgery, which is Ross Video's in-house creative design and professional services division. And we're going to look at what they can do to support you with your next live production. To get into that, we're going to first meet Jim Doyle, who is Mission Commander at Rocket Surgery. Just before I hand you over to Jim, here is my regular reminder that all of the Tech Talks are being recorded and are available to watch on demand at rossvideo.com/live. You can also find the full program schedule on that page. If you have any questions during this presentation, then please don't be shy. We do enjoy hearing from you. Please type your questions into the questions box on the right-hand side of the page, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webcast. As always, more information is available at rossvideo.com, and you can join in the conversation on all of the usual social media platforms. It looks like Jim has actually sent me an invite to join him in one of Rocket Surgery's virtual worlds, so let's see what happens when I click on this link. Go. This is a fantastic change of scenery here. Here I am on a virtual set, and Jim should be joining me any minute now.
Hey, Stuart.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Very well. Thank you very much. Looks great.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us, and welcome to our world. I hope you're enjoying this virtual experience, and we'd really like to thank Ross Mobile Productions for their assistance in helping us to pull this off. We're bringing this to you using Ross Mobile's live talent conference system, where they provide the technology and the production support to do it, and we provide the assets and the virtual set environments for them to be able to do this. And if anybody watching this has an interest in a service like this, feel free to reach out to Ross Mobile. I'll provide some contact information at the end of the presentation.
Well, it looks absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to fly off and let you get on with the presentation.
I'll talk to you soon, Stuart. So this presentation is designed to give our audience an overview of the breadth of Rocket Surgery, the verticals we feed into, and the products that we support. So let's begin a little bit with the mission statement in order to lay the groundwork for what you're about to see. So at Rocket Surgery, our mission statement is for Expression, Voyager, and Dashboard customers in broadcast and venue production, Rocket Surgery offers unmatched design and data integration expertise because we have exclusive insight and input into Ross's advanced system. The next thing I want to dive into a little bit are some of the supported Ross technologies. We are a very solutions-focused organization, so we're experts in bringing lots of Ross technology together to provide a solution and to help our customers achieve the highest level of success possible within their control room environment. At the top, we support Expression and all the various flavors of Expression. Tessera, Expression Data Link, Expression Maps, Ticket, Branded, and Elected Solutions, as well as Touch Factory. We also provide a vast virtual and augmented reality support and services system. That includes things such as Voyager and UX, Trackless Studio on Expression, and then we also have dashboard support. We are capable of providing custom dashboards. In addition to that, we do also provide support for Piero. Next thing I want to talk about are some of the verticals and channels to better understand our business model. So as far as verticals go, if Ross has a vertical, we feed into it. Things like in-venue and stadiums, broadcast TV, sports and entertainment, corporate video, house of worship. Esports is something that we've been doing for a little while now and is growing. We also feed into the government sector, education, and then of course internet and online production, as you see here. And then the different channels that we utilize for our business are things, we work primarily through our business partners, but you're also welcome to reach out to us direct. And then we also have an e-commerce site. So if you're a customer that say is maybe more budget challenged or looking for a quick solution, you're welcome to go to the Ross Video website, click on the buy icon, and you can see a whole host of different assets that we have for sale on our Shopify site. So the last thing I want to touch on is a little bit of an overview of what you're going to see during the course of this presentation, and that is our range of services. We have full graphic design services as well as graphic integration services. We handle virtual set and augmented reality, including design and implementation. And then we have RSVP, which is our Rocket Surgery Virtual Productions Group. These guys do specialize in live broadcast productions using virtual and augmented reality. And then finally, our triggering and control group that provide custom dashboard control solutions for just about any ROS product that can utilize a dashboard solution. And if you would be so kind as to indulge me, I'd love to show you guys some samples of our work. We recently completed a new demo reel for 2020. And so I'd really like to get a chance or give you a chance to see some of that work. So please roll the reel. So there's a little eye candy for you. And now let's dig a bit deeper into rocket surgery and how everything works. First, I'd like to introduce Alikan Manji. He's the project coordinator for rocket surgery. Alikan will begin our discussion with an overview of our design and integration processes to give a better understanding of how all this works. Alikan, take it away.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. Rocket Surgery delivers full end-to-end workflows using ROS expression and dashboard. We make custom news and in-stadium workflows for operation, playout, and design based on our client's specific needs. Rocket Surgery also provides advanced training and deployment services to ensure you have a team of Ross Video technical and creative geniuses at your back from the start of the project to the end. Scope of work and discovery meetings are used to identify deliverables and workflow show needs prior to the start of a project. For each Rocket Surgery project, there is a project coordinator and art director to manage timelines, QC projects, and templates prior to final client approval. Integration services. We create and build templates within Expression based off of a design or style guide which has been provided to us from the client. Conversion services. We take current graphics packages, regardless of the graphics platform it's currently running on, and flip it into Expression. We optimize workflows and templates while also keeping in mind the comfortability of the newsroom staff. Design services. We create and design a look and style guide working with the client for approvals. The benefit of this is that we can design and build within Expression as well as third-party platforms. This saves on timeline as well as cost. Up next is our art director, Matt Zivik. Matt?
Thank you, Alekin, and thanks again, everyone, for joining us. As Alekin explained, we offer 3 distinct services: integration, conversion, and graphic design. Typically, our conversations with customers begin with integration, because that's included in many of our initial equipment installs. Following that conversation is typically when customers become aware that we also offer full turnkey services, and that include graphic design. There are certainly a lot of talented creative agencies to choose from for both broadcast and for stadium graphics, but any venue operating Ross Video equipment will see several advantages by also choosing the graphic design arm of Ross Video, and that, of course, being Rocket Surgery. While integration and design are 2 services that can be purchased separately, when we're charged with executing both, we're able to be much more intuitive with our designs as compared to an outside agency, because we know how to take advantage of the features available within Expression and other Ross products. We don't just design graphics, we design custom workflows. So we bring a much broader vision to our design process because we also still have that eye on the execution of your show. So let's take a deeper look into our abilities and why you should consider Rocket Surgery as your next creative design partner. Point number 1. We design exclusively for Ross product applications, such as Expression and Voyager. We do nothing else, which means we know the ins and outs of our own products and how to best optimize designs for performance better than anyone. Our designs and our projects often even forge development path for enhanced features within Ross products. Our wheelhouse is designing dynamic graphic layouts with data integration, which could be game in progress layouts for stadium venues or insert packages that could apply for both broadcast and stadiums, as you can see in examples of our work rolling right here. For us, it's not just about the design layouts, but also how we interject statistics and other data in a dynamic and unique way. Point number 2, our ability to combine pre-rendered assets with dynamic, reskinnable templates. While our designers often create graphic using native Expression objects, our designers are also experts in your typical third-party design software such as Cinema 4D and other Adobe products such as After Effects. Utilizing these third-party softwares is how any design agency can develop that real eye candy part of a design. Depending on your production, in some instances your show has very few or a fixed number of variables, and the majority of your show can consist of pre-rendered assets. Where we thrive are in those applications that need many variables and a streamlined render pipeline, and really take advantage of the real-time render capabilities of Expression. Sports is a perfect example, where you can have a near endless amount of matchup combinations. Pre-rendering all of the possible team versus team combinations could prove to be quite time-consuming and therefore expensive, especially if you're in a facility that hosts more than one team. At Rocket Surgery, We've really worked to perfect the workflow of combining that flair that can be achieved in pre-rendered assets from places like Cinema 4D and combining that with reskinnable real-time expression templates. Each of the videos you are seeing now is an example of mixing pre-rendered assets from Cinema 4D with reskinnable templates within Expression. And just to prove it, I'm going to jump in here to Expression real quick to show you one of these templates. Take this offline and jump over to the layout side. You can see I am using nothing but some pre-rendered videos which I've exported from Cinema, and I'm combining that with expression animations that include simple reskinnable images. So if I move over to this scene where I have my reskinnable images, I'll turn off my continuous animation. You can see it's made up of simple image assets. So my background is just a simple color swatch. My logo is just a static logo image, and I have a bunch of other just simple images in here to comprise this graphic. But this is all simple images being animated within Expression. Turn that back on. If I go back to the sequence side, for me to reskin this, I'll simply change a trigode from Philadelphia to Tennessee. I have now changed out my assets, my logo, and my color swatches, and just like that, I've rebranded this graphic in real time. And I'm still achieving the flair of a fully pre-rendered look with light changes and reflections on the floor. We aren't sacrificing that pre-produced look you desire, and we didn't have to render out an endless amount of combinations. And that brings me to my third point for designing with rocket surgery. And it's simple: cost and time efficiency. So we've mentioned the two parts of preparing your graphic package for air. There is first the design of the look and feel of your layouts, and then second, the integration and making them fully functional templates for playout. Let's compare two potential scenarios you'll be faced with. Scenario number one: third-party design vendor plus Rocket Surgery's integration services. You've hired a third party for design services and then turn those designs over to us for integration to make them fully functional templates that include data integration and often scripting. In this workflow, the design layouts need to be fully approved first before they are passed on to us to build the functional templates. This type of workflow can certainly elongate your timeline to prepare your graphics for air for the first time. The second scenario would be to hire Rocket Surgery for both design and integration services. In this workflow, we are often building both the design and functionality simultaneously. Since we are able to streamline the process, this reduces our template integration service time. Quite simply, less time equals less money, and we pass those savings on to you. My final point for designing with Rocket Surgery is because of our unique relationship with data providers. The data available directly affects the information you are able to present during your show. Because of our unique relationship with data providers, we are in a position to help drive what information is available to the end user and thus design innovative applications. For example, each year, we work with Next Gen Stats on new applications that will be used at the Super Bowl. These applications then become available for NFL teams the following season. We've worked with Major League Baseball and developed our own data parser and data link, and we'll be introducing some new in-stadium graphics once the MLB season finally kicks off, whenever that's going to be. Our designers aren't just designers. We are well versed in data manipulation and scripting, which can lead to innovative designs. For example, this past fall, we were selected as the design and integration partner for the Golden State Warriors as they opened up their brand new building at Chase Center. In this instance, we proposed utilizing their corner and gantry displays in a very unique manner. The common NBA usage of these displays is to repeat information shown on the center, and that is typically the on-the-floor statistics. We suggested using these displays to further tell a story and be the first to display a constant team shot tracker. We also proposed in this design a way to dynamically switch this layout to highlight any player's last shot attempt, complete with shot location, distance to the basket, and updated game stats. Not all of the data shown in this graphic is available in the data stream, specifically the shot distance. But we were able to calculate this data using the components that were available to us, and we were able to script this information to be available for this graphic. Whenever we are selected for a design project, specifically for in-stadium shows, we always challenge ourselves to bring a unique aspect to the game experience, and that is usually driven by different ways to present unique data. That wraps up our segment on graphic design and integration services. Next up, I'd like to introduce the manager of our virtual design group, Chris Molyneux. Chris?
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Molyneux, and I'm the manager of the virtual design group for Rocket Surgery. So what do we do in the virtual design group? Well, we provide Expression and Voyager creative design for augmented reality and virtual studios, including UX, data link, blueprints logic, and dashboard integration. So what does that mean? It means we can take your idea from conception, take it all the way through the design process to running in real time, and supported with control systems so that you have all the features you need to run your studio. We also do studio consultation. We can pre-visualize your studio to ensure camera placement, lens selection, integration with hard sets, and more. This ensures you'll get the shots and features you want from your virtual studio. We also have an eBuy site. This is a section of rossvideo.com where you can go and purchase pre-made assets running for both an Expression and Voyager to use right away. So you can purchase them and be off and running. And we support news, sports, weather, entertainment, house of worship, and corporate events. And actually, corporate events are rather interesting because we've been getting a lot of requests recently for how can we do our keynote address, how can we do our product unveiling while dealing with social distancing. Well, virtual technologies is a great way to do that, and we've been building up a library of assets to support those kind of presentations. So the Rocket Advantage, or the Virtual Design Group Advantage. I think experience is a really important thing, and we have a talented team with years of experience and in-depth knowledge of virtual technologies, newsroom workflows, and graphic design and architecture. Access. Access is something I want to talk about, and I know Jim has touched on this and Matt has touched on this, but what's really great about working for Ross Video is that we have a variety of different departments that are using virtual technologies. We have Ross Mobile Productions. We have the RSVP team, which you'll be hearing about from Brian Bray a little bit later. We have, of course, our development team that's developing the products, and we have the virtual design group. So that means that if we're in the lab and we're playing around with some ideas and we're trying to get a particular look or a particular feature to work, and we run into a bottleneck, we can actually reach out to the designers and the developers of the software and ask them how we could solve this problem, or ask them to see if they could make a change to Voyager or Expression to support that we're trying to do. So it's that kind of interaction which is great and leads us to solve problems and to kind of push the envelope of virtual design very quickly. So now that I've told you a little bit about what we do at Virtual Design, I'd like to show you our work. And so next I'm going to play for you our latest sizzle reel. Here we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed our sizzle reel. I'd now like to introduce you to Neil Hopley. He's our senior designer for the Virtual Design Group, and he was responsible for leading the design on many of the things you just saw in our sizzle reel. Neil had a chance recently to go into our studio in Ottawa and work on some new things that we're working on, and he wanted to show you. So Neil, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. So I'd like to say a few things about what we here at Rocket Surgery have been working on recently, and then touch on some cool things that we'd like to explore further in the virtual design world. As you probably know, Ross Video has made its name for itself primarily in the broadcast and live events industries, though recently we've seen in the last couple of years or so a tremendous growth of virtual design interest from the corporate arena. I think this trend will continue as the industry sees the potential to tell their messages and to showcase their data in exciting and dynamic ways, utilizing the virtual technologies and to tell their stories. So I recently had the opportunity to go to the Ross Virtual Studio. I had it all to myself. I was able to do some tests with sets we've already built for clients, as well as some that we've created for the eBuy marketplace. One thing I wanted to showcase was our ability to use handheld tablets to allow the talent to change the content within the virtual environment. Other interesting ideas have been in ways of thinking how our broadcasters could visualize their weather show in different ways. Now, in the past, we've done scenarios where you'd have the talent, you'd see the city outside, and the city has either sunny or raining, and then the city completely changes to a different city and it's a different weather scenario. We've done those things. But what if we could bring the weather within the virtual environment of the talent? This opens up a whole bunch of other possibilities, and it's new and exciting for the audiences to see. You know, typically, most of the exciting part of building a virtual set for a client has been the main staging area where the talent resides, obviously. But now, using the power of Voyager with the Unreal Engine, we have the ability to really think about, well, what's on the exterior of the virtual set, of this environment that we're building for the client? What could we put there? We can have people talking. We can have people walking around in the background. We can have cars zooming by. We can have water fountains in the background going off if we wanted to. So these are the kinds of things that's really a step up to what we've been used to be able to provide to customers. So it's really been really exciting working with Voyager and Unreal. It's just another level higher. And it just keeps getting better and better, and I'm loving working in this industry. It's a really, really exciting time to be in virtual production. Well, that's it for me. Virtual design has really been picking up a lot of steam lately, and I'm happy to be involved with it within the Ross community and the Rocket Surgery team. I hope you've enjoyed what I've been able to show you, and now I'm going to kick it back to Chris Malomo for his closing remarks. Thanks again.
Neil, thanks for that presentation. It looks like you've been having a lot of fun in the lab. Well, thank you everyone for watching this Rocket Surgery Virtual Design Group presentation. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk about anything when it's dealing with virtual studios. Next, I'd like to introduce the RSVP Project Manager, Brian Bray. Brian, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that. And you guys are doing some really exciting stuff over at Virtual Set Design. We enjoy working with you guys. My name is Brian Bray. I work for Rocket Surgery Virtual Productions, RSVP, and we are a turnkey full AR production company for both broadcast and online events. We provide a creative team to help build out new ideas and graphics to help tell your story. So we can start from scratch and build out your entire production for you if that's what you need. If not, if you've already got your creative taken care of, you got a creative team, we'll work with those guys. We'll make sure that we can get that AR and those graphics into our system and into our workflow that will help tell the vision of your story. Also, we can provide an on-site or off-site crewing team to help crew all positions needed for whatever your particular production is. This includes systems engineering, show ops, creative direction, production assistant, whatever your specific production or productions might need, we've got a team of people that have done a wide width of events, and a lot of really creative folks and a lot of really talented people that have been on a lot of different productions. If you have your own gear, we can utilize your gear, come in, utilize that, set you up, run the show for you, load in the content. But if you don't have gear, we also provide the ability to rent gear on a per event basis as you need it. We are, again, like I said, we are using the Ross solution, so we have the industry standard expression machine that we can do virtual AR graphics on, and we are also employing, Voyager, our new Unreal Engine solution that is pretty exciting. Does some really neat things virtual set wise, and then last but not least, depending on what your event is. If you have a one-time event, we've done those and really do well with that. If you've got a series of events, or you're into have a sports event or whatnot, and you need multiple ongoing engagements, we excel at that as well. One of those I'd like to talk a little bit about is Sunday Night Football. We've just completed our 5th season, this past football season, of Sunday Night Football AR graphics on air. NBC has its own creative team. They do an amazing job, and they asked us to come in and partner with them and help create both the look and feel that we start the season off with, and we help create customized graphics that are needed each week to help tell that story. Fred Godelli is the producer there, and he likes to tell really, really interesting stories with that show. So we've been working on that. Let's take a look and see what goes on behind the scenes at Sunday Night Football.
When NBC decided to do virtual graphics on their show, they called up Ross, and we're able to provide the hardware, the software, and the trained personnel to operate on game day. Each season, we come up with new ways, new things that we can do and integrate into this product, constantly trying to be innovative and help our customer be the coolest thing on TV.
As we started seeing the speed we needed to work in, started seeing what it is they wanted us to do and when they wanted us to do it, we started taking a deeper dive into the system and what we could do. We basically can set everything up in every way imaginable and be able to get to it pretty quickly within a few button pushes.
We're using dashboard as a control mechanism in addition to using UX, and it's gotten us to where we are now, where we can push out a high volume of content. We are able to execute a high impact, high efficient production on a top tier program like Sunday Night Football. This particular medium has become something that's very important to the show. It's a privilege for us to get to do that.
Stand by Ross 40 and make your move and dissolve animate.
And that's Sunday Night Football. We've really enjoyed working with them for the last 5 seasons. We look forward to going into the 2020 season with them. It's been a really amazing project to be part of. But I want to talk to you about some of the other things that we've done with RSVP and some of the other productions, and kind of tell the story a little bit. So for the last 3 years, we have worked with the Super Bowl in-house video production team to provide AR graphics for the in-board or in-venue facilities. We also worked on the broadcast with NBC a couple years ago in Minnesota. But this showing you some of the engagement with the in-house video board productions. They do an amazing job, and we're just happy to be part of that. But it is a very big show. Another big production that we work with worldwide, all over the place, is ESL, Electronic Sports Leagues. We've done Fortnite, we've done PUBG, we've done other games around the world that bring in a very large production, utilizing us both in venue and on broadcast and on online production. These folks are very, very creative and very talented. We really enjoyed being able to bring data, statistics, eye candy, and plenty of highlight opportunities. We also work with Piero Sports Graphic Analyst Tools. It's another award-winning solution providing data visualization through their first and 10 and on-field down and distance product. We will be offering a rental solution and service package going into the next football season and beyond. So it's something that we're excited about. We think that the Piero product is amazing. It can help tell a really amazing story, and something you should take a look at. Working with our internal partners, Ross Mobile Productions, and other vendors, we have created a complete virtual meeting environment that provides big space and content to a small studio setup, combining both virtual set and traditional AR graphics. We were even able to provide a virtual production remotely while the talent, the competitors, even our own team members doing AR graphics participated from home in a cloud-based solution. In fact, the production you're watching right now is being done in that fashion. No one is on site. There isn't a studio we're working through. Everybody's working from home to provide this type of an environment. Our team has many years of both AR and traditional production experience. We have full-time members and a large team of freelance folks all across the globe to help provide a turnkey, customizable solution for your event. Really enjoyed my time with you guys, and I hope that you learned a little bit about this and are interested. Next up is going to be Matt Marion with our triggering and control group. He's got some really cool things he's about to show you guys. Matt?
Thanks, Brian. You guys are doing some pretty cool stuff over there at RCP. Hey guys, my name is Matt, and today I'll be talking to you about triggering and control. Events, production, everything needs to be controlled by someone, and that's where we come in. We can build a Ross Video dashboard panel to help simplify your workflow, parse data, and add any custom logic and automation that you may need. Now, one of the things Ross Video makes is a program called Dashboard. Dashboard allows us to quickly build up control software for Ross hardware and graphics. It also allows us to control almost anything else that can talk over TCP if it has a control API. Even if a device doesn't communicate over TCP, if it can be monitored or controlled using GPIO, we can communicate with it via an OpenGear frame and GPIO card, or any device that can take TCP commands and convert them to GPIO. Even something as simple as a power toggle can be controlled if we put a TCP switch between the physical button and the device. Think projector screen or window blinds, things like that. Dashboard's panel builder mode allows easy drag and drop of common controls and the ability to style them up any way we want. This gives us great design flexibility when it comes to control placement, usability, branding, and everything in between. It means we can create a custom solution that is tailored specifically to your workflow. Now, Rocket Surgery has a wealth of knowledge and experience when it comes to building dashboards. I mean, we build hundreds of these things every year. Now, one of the places Dashboard really shines is by a simplification of a workflow. In any production, there's a lot going on. For example, an event space can have monitors, projectors, projector screens, lights, both house and stage lighting, audio and video routing, cameras, emergency response systems, and the list goes on. This requires a lot of complicated hardware, but the workflow doesn't have to be that complicated at all. In fact, we can combine all the common usage of the various pieces of hardware into a single panel. On top of that, we can make that panel so user-friendly that my 12-year-old son could run it without any issues. And right now, I'm going to show you guys an example of a simple event workflow. As we can see, this panel has the ability to control some Ross gear here on the left. In the center, we have our keypro controls, transition controls, and some display controls. Now, we can do things like turn the monitor off. Oh, Sorry about that, guys. Hold on, let me just turn it back on again. There we go. Now we can also do things like control projector shutters, get the projector screens up and down, and things like LED brightness. Now, if we look over here on the right, we've got our lighting section. So up here, we've got some stage lighting, EOS for example, and we've got some house lighting. Now, want to have a party? There we go. Oh, look at all those fancy lights go. Let's go back to the show. Now, at the bottom here is where we have our camera controls and selection. We can set the iris, the white balance, zoom speed, pretty much anything we can remotely control about the camera. Now we can even use a software joystick to move the camera back and forth. And if the software joystick doesn't work, we can also hook this up to a hardware joystick, if that makes the camera movement easier. We can select different cameras, we can mess with the focus, we can do all sorts of things, anything that can be controlled remotely with the camera. And that's an example of a small, simple panel that has everything in it needed to run an event. We can go from as simple as that event panel I just showed to something more complicated that has a multi-viewer overlay, more controls, etc. It's entirely up to you. Now, the next place Dashboard shines is its use of JavaScript as a scripting language. This gives us a lot of flexibility around the parsing of many different forms of data. For example, we can get an XML from one source, JSON from another, combine the two into a single XML or JSON file. We can set up the panel to expose the data directly to Expression Data Link or to a file, whatever the workflow requires. Having such a common and powerful scripting language also opens up a lot of options around panel logic. We can combine actions with data, we can use timers to automate and synchronize. There's a lot of flexibility around how the panel and devices interact. Now, I'm going to show another example, this time of a very data-heavy panel, an election panel. This panel reads a few data feeds and has two main purposes. Display the data in real time so that it can be used to monitor the election. In this case, we can see which precincts have had a change, they get a little yellow border, and which ones have been called. They have a little color change here. And if we click on one of them, or any of them, we can see the information about that precinct down at the bottom. Now the panel's second purpose is to aggregate and rearrange the data to output it in a format that Expression can use for various different graphics. Now, if we go into edit mode, we can see that this panel has around 5,600 lines of JavaScript. That's a lot of JavaScript, but we get a lot from it. Some of it is used to parse selection data, and some of it is used to control the UI. Now, this panel can be run in a location connected to data link to drive Expression, and it can also be run on any other machine that's connected to the internet to give anyone interested an overview of what is happening. It even has a simulation mode built into it for testing purposes. Now, right now, we're running a simulated presidential election. It's the 2018 midterms US. Now, we can hook this up to Expression to test out all the various different graphics, or we could even run a full election if we want. It's pretty neat stuff. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on here is automation and remote control. With the ability to grab and parse data combined with the ability to control anything that talks over TCP or GPIO, we can do a lot in the way of automation. Graphics can be tied to data changes without the need to manually input anything. Buttons can run multiple actions affecting multiple devices. Take a fire alarm and an event space as an example. We can have one button that triggers a set of actions like turning on all the lights, turning off the monitors, or displaying emergency instructions on them. We can shutter the projectors, we can lift the projector screens, we can even open the window blinds. Basically, one button can be used to automate the entire emergency procedure, and that's just one example. Now, there's no limit really when it comes to what can be controlled and when. And you know what? One of the coolest things of all? The panel can be run from anywhere that has access to the network the devices are running on. So for example, a central control room, which could be, someone's living room, if for some reason we're all stuck at working from home. Why that might be, I don't know. We can control devices at any number of remote sites. We can monitor encoders at remote locations around the world with one panel in one central office. We can automate and control production at any number of remote studios from a single main location. And this is just a taste of what we can do for you at Rocket Surgery around triggering and control. For more information, please feel free to reach out to us anytime. I'm always happy to have a chat. And now, back to Jim.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. There's some really cool stuff going on with Dashboard. It's nice work. So as you can see, the Rocket is into all sorts of interesting things, and we've had the pleasure of doing it for a whole host of clients all over the world. So a big thanks to our customers worldwide. Now, if you have an interest in any of these services or have questions about them, feel free to reach out to me or anyone in the Rocket Surgery team. And if you'd like to find out more about our remote production services, feel free to reach out to Stephen Repass. He's the general manager over at Ross Mobile. So, Stuart, back to you. What do you think?
Jim, wow, what a fantastic presentation, and thank you very much for that. I had no idea that Rocket Surgery was involved in so many different cool areas and cool applications, so I really appreciate that. And we've had a lot of very positive comments coming in about the presentation today, so appreciate that. It looks like we've also had some questions that have come in as you've all been talking, so we'll just go ahead and deal with those now. And I guess the first couple really, Jim, are for you. In terms of Rocket Surgery generally, how many customers do you work with on an annual basis? What size is the division?
Gotcha. Well, it's grown tremendously over the last several years. We went from a few dozen a year to, I think last year we serviced about 115 discrete customers, but we probably have, well into close to 1,000 customers worldwide. So we do a lot of work for a lot of different people.
And in terms of the scope of that, is that predominantly within the US, or do you work with other international organizations?
I would say primarily it's in the US. I'd say about 70 to 80% of our business comes from the US, but we do work internationally. We've done work in the UK, we've done work in various parts of Africa, we've done work in Australia. So we have a very active creative group internationally as well. We're somewhat international. We have a staff in the US, we have staff in Canada, we even have some staff in India, and we're building a group and a larger presence in Australia. So we're rapidly expanding.
And is that, yeah, I'm rapidly expanding as well, but I think that's more to do with lockdown than anything else. In terms of in-house versus freelance capability, I mean, do you work with freelancers outside of Rocket Surgery?
Yeah, I think this was mentioned a couple of times in the presentation. We do have a pretty deep field of freelancers that we dig into, and we're always looking for more. We particularly with RSVP and things like that, where we have a need to utilize freelance production help. Sometimes we also work with Ross Mobile to utilize some of their staff. So we've got a lot of resources at our disposal. If there is anybody on this call that would be interested in freelancing with us, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to have a conversation.
Perfect, thank you. A couple of questions that are probably more relevant to Matt, if it's possible for me to address those to him. In terms of the graphic design capability, a question about what tools the team uses.
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. Yeah, we use all the typical third-party design tools that most design agencies would use. Cinema 4D, multiple plugins using for Cinema 4D, as well as Adobe After Effects and all the great plugins that are available for that product as well. So we use all your typical third-party design software in conjunction with Expression.
Okay, and similar related question. A lot of the examples that we saw today were in the world of sports. Do you also work in other areas? Do you work in newsroom applications, for example?
Yeah, we have some newsroom applications that we can design as well. Primarily, our work has been in sports because that's where the opportunities have been. But yeah, we have some election packages that we've designed and some other news packages that we've designed that's also available on our e-commerce site.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. A couple of questions that I guess I should really throw at Alec. This one again is related to newsroom. Are you familiar with what newsroom workflows in terms of integration? not sure if Alican's on the line, if we can get him to
Might be muted.
give us an answer.
Yeah, we work with a number of different newsroom solutions, whether it's EMPS, iNews, Ross's Inception, Delete. We work with any number of newsroom systems at the moment.
Okay, perfect. And follow on from that, can you also work with projects that have perhaps been created in other platforms by some of our competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just finished a large project with the ABC group where we converted all of their current graphics packages into Expression. They were on many different platforms. We were able to consolidate the templates so that they don't have a massive project. And then we also made sure that we kept the customer in mind as well while we were building, so that they were comfortable once we moved from their old system to their new system. And then we were there, obviously, throughout.
Perfect, thank you very much. Question here that I guess is probably going to be most relevant to Chris with regard to virtual sets. This is a good question. This is one that I often wonder myself. How real can you make things look in the virtual world?
Well, actually, we can make things really real these days by taking advantage of the Unreal Game Engine, which Voyager is built on. We're getting really close to photorealism. So we get real-time reflections. There's a resource of textures now available with Unreal 2.5 that are textures that have all been taken from the real world scenarios and are available to us. So Unreal is the most powerful renderer in the world, and to be able to utilize it for virtual technologies and for virtual studios is giving us the most photorealistic look that we can get. Absolutely.
And in terms of virtual set design, I mean, I've seen some fantastic effects. The one that always amazes me is that the water running down the windows and how it all sort of pulls and then breaks away again. But what is the hardest thing about virtual set design?
It's a really good question. The tool sets have been getting easier and easier in our workflow, from taking things from Cinema 4D or 3D Max and bringing them into Unreal has gotten progressively easier, especially with the tool sets that Unreal is making for us. You know, it's really, when we do a creative process, we really start from an idea or a conception, and we work with our clients to refine that and come up with compositions and move forward in the design process. A lot of it is about that coordination with the client, and we like to really partner with our clients and work with them very closely. But it's managing that, and you know, we all are very busy. People have different projects going on, so we like to keep our clients on a schedule, so we're checking in on a weekly basis. So I would say, in a sense, I don't want to say that that's difficult, but that's one of the most important things in the design process, is how we work with our clients to make sure that we're designing what they want.
And I guess allied to that, I mean, are there any limitations in terms of virtual design, just in terms of, you know, managing customers' expectations?
You know, it's the technologies have advanced so quickly that it's a lot of the limitations we've seen in the past don't exist anymore. So it really is kind of the sky the limit. Whatever you can envision, pretty much we can build these days. So yeah, there's not many limitations these days. We can pretty much do it all.
Cool, thanks for that, Chris. Brian, if we can get you on the line, a couple of questions for you. In terms of the kind of events that you generally work on, I mean, what's been the biggest event? What's been the kind of standout event, and what did that look like?
I get that question a lot. I would have to say it would be Super Bowl 52 a couple years back. We went to Minnesota. It was the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. It was a really big event for us. It was a lot of work getting into it, and we did something that we hadn't done before at the time, and that was volumetric AR, taking players, capturing them, and then putting them out on the field as AR. And we were the opening shot for that event. It was a big moment for us, and I think it was a big moment for the show as well. So that definitely have to be it.
Thank you. A question that made me laugh when I saw it come in. And what's the weirdest thing that you've ever been asked to do in virtual?
Weirdest thing. I wouldn't call it weird, but it was surprising. And that was we were doing the PUBG World Championships in Germany, and we were given some elements to use by Tencent and the folks that do that game. And we had, and I think you saw this in our demo reel earlier that I played. There was a car, right? And it's usually something that's in the game, and we would fly around it and show it. But the car didn't necessarily have windows on it. So imagine it's an AR element. It's not real. It's sitting there out in space. We took the flying camera, spider cam, flew it into the car through the window, and looking inside was a level of detail I did not expect. There was instruments, there was seat covers, it was just amazing to see how much detail they put into something that no one would ever see unless you thought to fly a camera inside the car. So we actually ended up using that flying through the back window, out the front window to see talent. And it was surprising. I wouldn't necessarily say it was weird, but it was a great surprise.
Cool, fantastic, thank you. Obviously not my car, otherwise it'd be biscuit crumbs everywhere. But I guess a couple of questions for Matt in terms of dashboard. A few people obviously interested in dashboard control. Can you give us some examples of some of the third-party devices that you've controlled using dashboard?
Well, one of them, say EOS lighting. So I've got a little API to run that. PTZ cameras, Panasonic, things like KeyPros. Everyone's got a KeyPro for recording all the video streams. ROS gear, so all the ROS gear. That's just a given. To be honest, anything that has a TCP control, anything we can connect to a TCP can be controlled. So I keep getting new ones every day. Riedel was one of them. I forget, M600, there was one of them, one of those. A whole bunch of different devices. There's too many for me to remember right now. But pretty much anything that we can talk to.
Okay, thank you. And have you ever handled election data?
Definitely handle election data. There's a lot of data in elections. There's a lot going on, but it all comes in often in JSON. It's a bit of a challenge because everyone has their own data feed. People don't seem to use the same data feeds, which is kind of fun as well because I get to parse more data. Maybe nerdy, but yeah, it's pretty easy. And I showed the example of the election dashboard earlier. So there's a lot going on in elections. There's a lot to look at, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. A couple of general questions. I will just throw these out to the floor. Are our virtual designs capable of interfacing with the ROS robotics system?
Oh yeah, our virtual designs are designed specifically for ROS robotics and integration with UX. Yeah, I mean, we're actually the natural choice for that kind of work.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And can you speak to data stream integration to newsroom workflows?
Data stream integration to newsroom workflows. Well, elections is a good example of that. We utilize live data from elections via dashboard and into data link. Sometimes we have a need to shape the data to meet a particular type of deliverable or a particular look that a customer is going for, so we do that. We also can work with some data streams for things like tickers, crawls, just about anything that that we can get into data link, we can map to a scene within expression, and we can do very similar work within the Voyager environment as well. So data link's really the key. If a customer is already working with a third-party data provider such as Bannister Lake, we work every day with Bannister Lake, their ticket systems. So yeah, we're very well versed in data. And the same for sports. I think as Matt mentioned, we've actually worked with the development team to create new, original functionality within data link that's specific to certain customers like Major League Baseball, the NBA, and so forth.
Perfect. Thank you. One last one, I think, and then I think we can round this off. Do I need to buy ROS equipment to produce a show, or will RSVP work with other broadcast codecs?
That depends. There are instances where we have to integrate with other types of systems. We can pull, as long as we can get tracking data from the system that you're utilizing, we can bring it into things like expression and so forth to do AR graphics on the field of play. Same thing in studio. If you can provide us with tracking data, generally we can interface pretty well.
Okay, fantastic. I think that brings us neatly to the end of the Q&A section, and we're right on the top of the hour, which is fantastic. Jim, thank you ever so much for your timing. Thank you to everyone else who presented today. Thank you to all of you out there for your questions. I see a few people have expressed interest in freelancing, so Jim is the man to get in touch with. Thank you all for attending. As I always say at this point, we know that your time is very valuable, and we very much appreciate you spending it with us. We will be back with you again on Tuesday, June the 30th, and we will be talking with Mitch Rubenstein, who heads up Ross Mobile Productions, RMP. RMP is our dedicated production company that offers full service production packages and rental services. And Mitch is going to be with us just to discuss the evolution of RMP, the scope of their operations, and how they have satisfied some of the most demanding broadcasters in sports. Full details of that session are available on rossvideo.com/live. And finally, just before I go, I know that many of you regularly visit the Ross booth at NAB show in Las Vegas and IBC in Amsterdam to get a pair of our infamous Ross socks. If you've seen our videos on social media this past week, you will know that we are giving away 100 pairs of the new Ross socks 3.0, freshly upgraded for 2020. Your special promo code, which is available for the next 7 days, is, big deep breath, Ross Live 2020 Rocket 01. That's all one word. We will put it up on the outro bumper before we leave you, but it's Ross Live 2020 Rocket 01. Use that code on the Ross online merch store and you can have a flash new pair of Ross socks on us. But please be quick. The code is only valid for 7 days, and when those 100 pairs are gone, they are gone. As I said earlier, we'll be back with you again next Tuesday, but in the meantime, that's everything from us today. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe and goodbye.